It's always a question in the Star Wars universe of which side is more powerful, the light or the dark. The Jedi and Sith have fought wars for millennia over this, and many characters, from Anakin Skywalker to Revan, have found themselves wondering this simple question. But which side is more skilled in the Force? Get ready for quite a long video, because we're going to go right into the heart of this issue. If you want a simple answer, you're not getting one. From a purely objective standpoint, the answer is neither. But depending on circumstances and what one considers power, you can manage to get a definitive answer out of this. Each side, in their own way, is more powerful. The difference stems from the fundamental contrast in the understanding of power between the two sides, and their vastly different philosophies. The different perspectives of the Sith and Jedi are essential in understanding this issue, and are exemplified in their respective codes. The Jedi Code is as follows. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force. This outlines the beliefs of the Jedi very clearly. They see themselves as instruments of the Force, bound to its will and nothing else. Above all, the Jedi Code emphasizes detachment, and it's in this that the power of a Jedi Knight comes. Jedi keep themselves balanced, and it's for this reason that they often prevail over Sith, who are literally driven by their own imbalances. The Jedi are powerful in that they don't seek power. They let the Force, the unlimited power of the universe, guide them, and that's how they become powerful. A powerful being, to a Jedi, is someone who can do this without effort, and become a pure conduit of the Force. From this perspective, the Jedi are much more powerful, as the Sith are the polar opposite. The Sith Code was made almost in mockery of the Jedi Code, and also characterizes the Sith perspective of power and the universe. It reads as follows. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The Force shall set me free. The Jedi seek to let the Force use them to achieve its will, but the Sith seek to use the Force to achieve their will. The Sith understanding of power is more akin to what we could consider power, outright strength or ability or control over others. The Jedi have no end goal in mind, they only seek what the Force wills, but the Sith want power for their own purpose. As the Sith Code states, they seek what they consider freedom from what they consider restricting and a threat to themselves. While the Jedi Code represents core tenets of belief, the Sith Code is a straightforward battle plan. In the Sith understanding of power, they are considerably more powerful as they base their lives around power, while the Jedi appear exceptionally weak as they disregard it completely. But even aside from philosophy, the question is complicated. Not only do the Jedi and Sith have different understandings of power, they have different types of what your average person would consider power. Jedi use only the light side of the Force and the powers within, primarily those geared towards self-control, harmony, and balance. This makes them quite formidable in battle, as the likes of Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi demonstrate, as this inner control, combined with their willingness to let the Force flow through them, grants them physical power, foresight, and calm. A quote from the Revenge of the Sith novelization sums this up perfectly. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi in the light. He doesn't even need to reach into the Force. He has already let the Force reach into him. The Force flows over him and around him as though he has stepped into a crystal pure waterfall. When he opens himself to that sparkling stream, it flows into him and through him and out again without the slightest interference from his conscious will. The part of him that calls himself Obi-Wan Kenobi is no more than a ripple in the pool which he endlessly pours. There is nothing here that is not part of him, because this is all part of the Force. The Sith, however, have power of a more overt kind. Now, before I get into this, I'm quickly going to clarify the difference between the Sith and simple Dark Jedi. Dark Jedi are Jedi who have fallen to the dark side, or other Darksiders that aren't Sith. They simply practice the dark side, they have access to more aggressive physical abilities, and use their emotions as weapons. This does not, however, constitute them as Sith. The Sith, like Jedi, are an order, but a more specific one. Sith Lords are the greatest Darksiders. Not only do they have absolute control over their powers, and indeed a much wider array of such powers, but they are also wholly immersed in the dark side. To be a Darksider is to use one's emotions for power. But to be a Sith Lord is to do this and then kill what keeps you emotionally tied to the rest of the galaxy. Dooku did this when he killed Sifo Dyas. Sidious did this when he killed his entire family. Savage Opress did this when he killed Ferrell, and Anakin did this when he caused Padme's death. Sith are detached from life and seek to dominate it. The Sith, unlike the Jedi, use both sides of the Force, but they use the dark side much more. In some cases, they cut off the light completely, as was the case for Exar Kun. Such cases demonstrate that basic light side powers like telekinetic powers can be used with the dark side too. But on top of the powers of the light, they have techniques that draw upon anger and violent emotions for deadlier effect. In addition, the Order of the Sith Lords also has been known to use alchemy and similarly sorcerous powers, something no other Force Order has demonstrated, though the Night Sisters do something similar. These, combined with more aggressive techniques, have in many cases enabled them to overpower their enemies in combat. Ultimately, it comes down simply to which individual on each side is more powerful, as neither the light or dark is overtly stronger. However, this doesn't mean the orders themselves can never be more or less powerful. Throughout history, the strength of both has wavered drastically. During the Republic Golden Age, from 1000 to 19 BBY, the Jedi Order was undeniably vastly stronger than its Sith counterpart, while during the reign of the Empire, the converse was true. The will of the Force plays the largest role here. Now, what many people likely came here for was to see whether an individual Jedi Knight or an individual Sith Lord is more powerful in a one-on-one confrontation. And finally, you guys get a definitive answer. The Jedi Order was all-inclusive and was geared toward developing understanding of the Force and openness to its will. This means that Jedi Knights had vastly different skill levels and sets, and your average Jedi was likely not too powerful as a result. But the Sith Order was built with domination in mind. Darth Bane famously said that the Force was like venom. The more its power is distributed, the more distilled that power becomes. The rule of two ensured that the ruling lords of the Sith had the maximum amount of power each while ensuring the legacy of the Order. As such, your average Sith in the time of the rule of two would have been much more powerful than your average Jedi. Even before the rule of two, the same would hold true for Sith Lords of other versions of the Order, as all Sith Orders shared one thing in common. They were entirely geared toward power hierarchies, dominance, and conquest. While the Jedi chose their own path, all Sith had the path of a warrior in some variation laid out for them. So, with all that taken into account, you might as well consider this one a tie, unless you came for that last part. For those who are intrigued by the parts before, I strongly advise you check out the Jedi Path and the Book of Sith, two legend source books that delve extremely deep into the EU to explore both orders. But for everyone else, I have a few questions. First of all, what do you think? Is this video spot on, or did we completely miss the mark? And more importantly, would you like to see more videos on this topic in the future? This may well be part 1 of a new series, and we'd certainly be happy to make more. Anyways guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.